sacred bond that you have with God, and that when you're living for Him and He lives through you, He is with you at all times in a way that He's not with you when you don't live for Him. You know, see, some people, everybody don't necessarily have covenant with God. And when you are a living sacrifice for God, you have that covenant. Because if He's living in you and living through you, then He's living with you as well. You know, and I think sometimes that's what people miss. Sometimes people be in church all their life, but they just chasing rules. And it's like, you gotta really have that bond with God that you are living by the Spirit and what He says. And understanding that you live through God in word, you know, by His word, that you live by His word, that you spend time in His word every day, that you become the word, and that your thoughts are now transformed to think the way that He would tell you to think according to His word, that you live by His Spirit, that the Holy Ghost will come in you and live in you and keep you. And you have covenant, and it takes a lot, because when you call in the Holy Ghost, it means that you're deciding to put away a lot of things that you might necessarily might not have put away if you wasn't with. You know, when you watch modern day TV and how a lot of women live, it's a lot of things that they're doing, and in God's eyes will be considered foul. A lot of the ways that they talk, the conversations they might sit down and have. When the Spirit of God is in you, He's holy and He's separate from the world, and so a lot of times you wouldn't have those conversations. You wouldn't be a part of those conversations. You wouldn't do all those different things that they might do at nighttime. This is different thing, even as a single person, that you wouldn't do, that you wouldn't get into. You wouldn't get into this whole sexual relationship with this guy or a girl, you know, knowing you're not married, because you know God doesn't approve of that. That He looks for covenant first, and He looks for you to do it the way He do it. So being a living sacrifice, you know, it's more than just something we read. When you really come into that and you become that, you know, it's a daily sacrifice. You know, the things that you wouldn't say because you know God wouldn't approve of it. Not going off on people because you know God wouldn't approve of it. Fixing your thoughts because you know God is with you. Taking those things to Him and just fellowshipping with Him about, like, Lord, you know, I'm not really feeling what's going on right now. I'm asking you to help me. You know, just going to Him rather than just going off on somebody and just let me have it. It's sacrificing. It's sacrificing how you will feel. It's sacrificing how you will respond. So. And it's through His mercy, because do we get it right at first? You know, that's where the mercy. That's why the mercies of God is before that you present your body a living sacrifice, because we're gonna need His mercy to do that. I'm not gonna know how to do that just yet. I don't got it just yet. But when you're trying, and God knows you're trying, you're honored as if you do. And a lot of times, God look at where we're trying at more than at where we're performing.
Like our heart, you mean?
Mm-hmm. If your heart is trying, then I'm gonna judge you on your attempt to do your best, rather than the action where you just completely failed. I could see that you was trying to get, so I'm gonna honor you as if you did the whole thing, even though really you pretty much fell apart at the end and nothing worked. But He said, because you wanted it to work, and I know that's what you want, and that's what you were striving for, I'm gonna honor that. God looks at our intentions. A lot of times it's our intentions He's looking at more than the action. Does He look at the action too? Sure. If you continually producing the same action, then it's a fruit in that action that we got to deal with. It's an intention in there that we must deal with. It's a thought process under that action. That's something you're doing. If you keep coming to that same thing, you ain't struggling. It's something you made up your mind about. You know, and we got to deal with that. So, holy, that you present your body as a living sacrifice. What? Holy. After you say that, after you sacrifice, what are you sacrificing? You're sacrificing yourself to be holy, to be separate from the world, to be different from the world, to come away from the things you know that get you in trouble and it's not pleasing to Him. When the Holy Ghost lives in you, conviction comes when you do things wrong. That bad feeling, that feeling you can't get away from.
That is so true.
That gut feeling like, oh God. And until you repent, it stay with you. You are grieved. You be doing something, you feel Him breathe in you. Oh God.
Mm-hmm.
Acceptable unto God. Holy where it's acceptable unto God. Sometimes people think they're doing something for God, and they believe they're doing something for God, but God don't have nothing to do with what they're doing. Acceptable unto Him, things that He said is acceptable. And that's where relationship come in, because it's a matter of, what is He telling you? He might not be telling me and you the same thing concerning our daily sacrifice. So I can't tell you, you're supposed to be doing this and this and this and this. I don't know what you're supposed to be doing, because I don't know what's going on in your life. He does. And so it's personal. Acceptable unto God, which is your Notice it says reasonable service, not ultimate. Like you just gave it all. No, you just getting started. Pretty much, you just getting started. You should be doing this. That's the least you can do. That's what that means. That's the least you could be doing. After all he did for you, that's the least you could do. I think sometimes, we tend to, as we're on our spiritual walk and we're growing, is sometimes miss just what God done for us when he died. Because we are three parts. We are body, we are soul, and we are spirit. And the spirit is the life of our soul. And our soul is what we spend all our days redeeming to make sure our soul is going to go live in eternity with him. And our spirit is what Satan spends all his time trying to infiltrate. Because if he can confuse us in the spirit, he can get our soul. And a lot of times people spend a lot of time worshiping their body. This the only part that ain't going nowhere. Unless you hear when he show up and you just go alive. Like Elijah. Elijah was caught up alive. So he went to God alive. His body didn't go in the ground and then his spirit went up. All of him went up. But if we die here, our body going to be in the ground and our spirit is going to go up. Our soul is going to go up. And so it's understanding that you are taking care of every part of you. You're taking care of your body. But sometimes we might be feeding our spirit and looking out for our soul and neglecting our temple. And so we got to be paying attention to that to make sure that we're keeping up with all three. And we're doing the best we can. And if God knows that's our intention, he will do the rest. And in our attempt to do it, he'll do the rest. He'll make sure that your spirit is fed. When you come to church, your spirit is fed. When you read the word, your spirit is fed. And what does that do? That helps to establish in your soul which way we're going. So that any time a disruption comes that's against what's mostly in your soul, that's when the conviction will come. That's when that grief will come. And the grief is kind of a guide to get you back on track with God. And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed. Be not conformed. And so we covered the whole thing that you made up your mind to be a living sacrifice, to be holy, to be acceptable to God. And you understand that this is what you should be doing. Because you walk around like, I'm doing everything for God. You're in the wrong spirit. Your service won't be received. God expects you to know. He expects us to do it humbly. And to do it knowing that I owe you, God. I owe you. You done what I couldn't do. My dying couldn't have redeemed me for all my sins. So, be not conformed, but be ye transformed. And I've taught this many times, but the one thing I always like to bring up anytime I come across this, when I teach it, when I read it, is a transformer. A transformer is a very visual representation of what it means to be transformed. To see the transformer go from a car to a big giant robot. When you watch it, if you ever seen those movies, I don't know. If you seen a movie and you see a transformer, it's like, they was, transforming into something that was like, 60 feet tall to the average little person. You looking at these big giants, so to speak. Then it transform into, but they look completely different. And God is saying a lot of times when God begins to come in and just flood your spirit and take over and begin to take you in his direction, you don't even look familiar to the people who knew you. You are transformed at that point because the direction he's taking you in is toward heaven. Now you walking in heavenly places, even here. And everything you do, your walk has transformed into a heavenly walk. Your walk, your path, and everything you do. When people come across you, like, man, Jalil, you're different. Your conversation is different. Your look is different. Your demeanor is different. Your spirit is there. You'll see people turn spiritual as they dealing with you because the Spirit of God is on you. He begins to bring revelation even to them to help you identify and know you change. You'll see people that's not even saved begin to speak spiritual things to you, and it's because of the God that's in you. He's using them at that point to get that point across to you. And so, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. That's where it starts. That is where it starts, by the renewing of your mind. And so the first thing you begin to transform is your mind. Is your mind. What does that mean? I mean, the first thing God do is go in and begin to break down and take apart your whole belief system. It comes down. It's kind of like if you had a house of cards set up in your mind. I believe this, I believe this. Mommy told me to believe this, grandma told me to believe this, daddy believes this. And then on this tower, you got towers. This mommy tower, daddy tower, this tower, that tower, and they all set up. God wants your belief system to become like a card where he could just come in and it just fall and he just begin to establish his foundation. And his foundation is a rock. And so when he establishes, you become concrete, meaning nothing can pluck it up or pull it up. And as he begins to reestablish you, you become confirmed in something that when your words speak, that action follows it, because it is now established on something that is confirmed, that is sure, that can't be broken down, that is not like cards. Because everything that's not on him is like a lie. It's a lie. And the wind can come and blow it. Everything you believe. You know, sometimes people have mental breakdowns because everything they believe was a lie, and they live their life on that, base their life on that, and they're devastated when they find out none of it is true. I've been following this, I gave my whole life to this. And some people can pick themselves up and go and get a new revelation. And some people can't. They just can't. You know, and it is for that reason. It's because everything they believe is not true, and they don't know what to believe, and they don't even know trust what they believe, and they just stop believing everything. They just stop. And they gotta wait until they get to a point where God can come in and begin to piece together the things they did believe that was true, and how he was in the things they did believe in, and begin to piece things together. So, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. And so when we think about, I want to just go back for a minute to who he was talking to and what he was talking about. He was talking about the Romans. And when he was talking about the Romans, he was trying to establish Christianity, and the Romans believed in many gods. And so the one thing he was trying to tell them was to renew their mind and transform their thinking from all the different things that they believed in, and to just believe in the God that was performing signs and miracles and wonders at that time, right before their eyes. So there's a lot of things, when Paul came in, when the disciples came in with them, those who followed him, when they came in with the might and the spirit of God, really strong. And you see it today too, but it depends on the faith of the people if it's performed. So it's not really that it's not going on today, but a lot of times people just don't come with that kind of belief, you know, because it depends on what they need. If they believe they have everything, and they believe, you know, they don't believe, you know, and they don't believe certain things, then it can't be performed. And you'll see even in the Bible that even with Jesus, this time he went to towns and performed few miracles because the people didn't believe. So it wasn't really that the miracles couldn't be performed, but the people don't believe in the miracles. If there's no faith here, what am I pouring out for? If you don't believe, it can't happen. And a lot of times, that's the things that go on in our life. What we don't believe can't come to pass in our life. That's why he was saying that to us at the beginning of the year. What are you believing for me to do for you for the next year? What are you believing for me to do? Because what you're believing for me to do, I can perform and bring to pass. But if you don't believe me for it, and you don't ask me for it, and you don't think about it, or you think it's too far out, there's no way I can do it. I can't answer what you don't believe. So that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. A lot of times it's about him. And that's what he started out saying to us. That he would transform us in a way that when people come across us, they will encounter him. So the Spirit of God, you know. And all the things that people say to you when they feel the Spirit of God, when you begin to establish a reputation and you know you're a man or woman of God, and it's like, I came to you because, you know, I go to church, I need real. You know, sometimes you'll think people despise you, but let them start going through something. Here they come. Mm-hmm. And they come to you because they know she'll never change. And you know, right now, that's what I need. And so a lot of times, people just going through what they're going through. So, for I say, through the grace given unto me, to every man that is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think, but to think soberly, according as God hath dealt to every man the measure of faith. And so everyone has a measure of faith, but it's according to your faith how God's going to move through you, what God's going to do for you. But God says at the same time, don't think of yourself more highly than you should. You know, because Paul was probably the greatest amongst all of them, but he was the most humble as well. And when you follow the life of Paul and you follow the life of the apostles, he had the biggest audience. I'm not gonna say he had the greatest work, but he did have the biggest audience. And when you look at the New Testament, a lot of it's from the heart of Paul. God did a lot of speaking through him. It wouldn't seem like he would have done a lot of his speaking through him when you look at Paul's testimony before he was converted. He was running down the Christians trying to kill him and throw him in jails and he was determined he was going to bring down the ministry of Jesus Christ until he met Jesus Christ. And so a lot of times you're running into people that might not believe in Jesus Christ. But when we're real, that's why sometimes we just gotta love people. Sometimes God will tell me that. I just need you to love them. I need you to endure it. I need you to endure it. And I'm thinking, it's time for them to go. And I'm thinking something completely different. And he's like, I want you to go through. I want you to do this, that, and the other. And it's like, all right. You know, I mean, what am I talking about? No, I'm not target. You know, and so a lot of times that's when God's greatest work is done. Sometimes it's through our suffering. You know, sometimes we gotta suffer. You know, we gotta endure those hard things that God's love might be shown. That people might come back like, you know what? God's been dealing with me. And God will have them to come back so that you know that nothing you went through was in vain. For as we have many members in one body, and all members have not the same office, so we being many are one body of Christ, and everyone members one of another. Having then gifts different according to the grace that is given to us. I want you to think about everything he said up until this point. When you think about the preparation of how Paul was preparing them for what he was about to say, because the next thing he goes into is that family, we all doing the same work. There's no one person here that's greater than the other person. We're all doing the same work, and what is that? We're getting God's work done. You know, and a lot of times, when you're dealing with organizations, when you're dealing with churches, you know, anytime that's in the mix, pride, and people thinking that their greater position makes them greater, you know, things begin to fall apart. People begin to fall away, and people are devastated by the work or the ministry or whatever it is, that organization. You know, the goal is that lives will be changed and people will be impacted in a way that it draws more people in. And so it says, so we being having different gifts according to the grace that is given to us. But a prophecy, let us prophesy according to the proportion of faith. Or ministry, let us wait on our ministry. Or he that teacheth on teaching, or he that exhorteth on exhortation, or he that giveth, let him do with simplicity, that he that ruleth with diligence, he that showeth mercy with cheerfulness. And notice, in every gift, there's an instruction on how you do it. You don't just do it, he's saying, this is how I want you to do it. Ministry, let us wait on our ministry. If you call the minister, what does that mean when you say, wait on our minister? Be led. You might know you called the minister, but I don't mean every chance you get you ministering. I was ministering all day. I was ministering here and I was ministering there. No. You might be a minister and might not never minister until except every once in a blue. Because God is not excessive. And so God don't tell people what they already know. God don't tell people things they don't want to hear. God don't bombard people. He doesn't overwhelm people. He doesn't come and jump on people. He doesn't attack people. He doesn't do any of those things. Satan does. And he used the ignorance of people with gifts to do those things. But God himself, he doesn't do that. He doesn't do that. And so even when you prophesy, it says prophesy according to the proportion of faith. To the faith that is in you and how you're built up to prophesy. And pretty much when you prophesy, you're speaking the word that God gave you. Rather you're an evangelist, don't necessarily be a prophet that prophesies. Sometimes people who are prophetic, you might have a spiritual, a praying warrior, a person who pray all the time and you're called to pray. They walk in the spirit with the God, sometimes the same way a prophet does. And so they'll have the gift of prophecy too. That they might just be on the street like the Lord's been telling me to tell you, because they're called into prayer, they walk with him the same way. They hear his voice, they receive his word, and they're able to prophesy. And so it say, let us prophesy according to and so in their faith, in their walk, they're able to prophesy, but only in the way he tells them to. Okay, and the same thing, he that teacheth, when you teach, because when you have the gift to teach, you pretty much pull up anything, like I have the gift to teach, so, but I still have to wait for him to tell me what to teach. What are you gonna do today? No. I'll be listening like, Lord, what do you want me to do? And I'll wait for him to tell me, do that. And what does he do? Then he'll send the gift, the Spirit of God to come through and begin to teach. That's why I tell people, sometimes I'm receiving the same thing you're receiving at the same time you're receiving it, because it's him teaching it, not me. He's just using me to teach it. And so him who teach on teaching, he that exhorteth. Sometimes you're called to exalt people, to encourage people, to lift them up, to bring and people that's like, it's funny, people that's like that, everybody usually love people that's like that, because they always have a word of exaltation, and it's pure, because it's their gift. It's not something they doing to hype people up. It's pure. People receive it. They feel good by it. They comfort people with it. It's like a whole spirit of comfort comes with that, to build people up that's heavy, that don't believe, that's disappointed, that's discouraged, that has low self-esteem and all that. Usually those are the ones you'll find those people pouring into. People who are in doubt about things. They don't believe what God said. They don't believe what God said about them. They don't believe that that's what it is. That person will come and begin to exhort. It says, on he that exhort, on exhortation. He that giveth, what? Do it. You're called to give. Sometimes people are just called to give. It's just in their heart to give. You'll see them always giving this, always giving that, always trying to give something, always trying to give something. They have the gift of giving. And so they want to give, but God's saying, do it with simplicity. Don't be grand about it. Don't make it a whole big show. Don't, do it so no one should know you're giving. Unless they're a person that's constantly receiving. But it shouldn't be as a whole big show. Why? Because that's not how he's not excessive. God don't do nothing for it to be a scene. And for you to try to put people on display that you give them. So can I get everybody's attention? I got $20 from her. The Lord was telling me to give it to her. I want everybody to bless the Lord for that. It's like,
And you got some people like
yeah.
that.
And it's like, right here, what is he saying? Do it with simplicity. So he means, so really, you called to give somebody something. I should have slipped $20 to you. God bless you, I love you. And keep moving. And I just wanted to thank, because that's to stop people. Thank God. Don't come thanking me, because I wasn't thinking about you. He was. So let me not steal his credit. He wanted me to give you that. He was thinking about you the whole time. I wasn't. I was going to spend that $20. I tell people that. They be like, yeah, so don't come back thanking me, because I was going to spend your money on it. So he says, do it with simplicity. And that's the simplest way to give. If that's what you got to do, and if you can give it that way. Sometimes you have to give it in the car. He'll show you how to do it, but with simplicity. He that ruleth with diligence. What does that mean? Consistency. If you're called to rule, if you're called to be in charge, if you're called to manage, you're diligent in doing it the same way every time. You don't change up. You don't have a different rule. You don't got one for this and one for that. That's not being diligent. Sometimes you should, sometimes you slack, sometimes you point. He says with diligence. Be diligent about it. Be diligent. Be persistent. Be consistent. He that showeth mercy with cheerfulness. Because what does that mean if you're showing mercy? If you're showing mercy, that means you take a lot of stuff. If you're showing mercy, that means a lot of stuff comes to you. You got to take a lot of stuff from a lot of people. And cheerfully, you let them off the hook. It's just always good. Oh, you know what? I was snapping on you earlier. I came in. Me and my boyfriend got in a fight. They go through this whole thing. You're like, you know what, brother and sister? Listen, it's okay. God got me. I got to go. Because you might not be called to hear all that either. I don't need to hear all that. But part of cheerfulness means you might need to hear all that. You might have a word at the end. God said he's going to, So with cheerfulness, though, because when you're called to show mercy, that means that God has expanded your heart with compassion. You'll find that your tolerance level is up too. A person that's called to show mercy has more tolerance than the average person because they got more coming at them. And so God expands their heart that they could take it. And then they have a relationship with him, and he comes and expunge all that stuff out their heart. They're not walking around with all that stuff in their heart. He comes and take it. Sometimes it never gets to him. By the time it comes, I got that in here. Keep going. It never even penetrates you because you're called to show mercy. So he steps in. He is that mercy. So, and you're able to do it. You just got to be willing to be cheerful. And so you might get hit sometime until you get strong enough that you just trust him. And when you just trust him, he'll get it. He'll get it. I got it. Here it come for your heart. I got it. It's like his hand to catch it. Yeah. You look at him and smile, and you just keep going. So, let love be without dissimulation. Abhor that which is evil.
What does that mean?
That's what I'm about to say.
Hate.
Yeah, I think it's bitterness. Yeah, hypocrisy, bitterness. Let love be without. You shouldn't be like, I love you with the love of the Lord. The Lord said, love everybody. I ain't gotta like you, but I love you. Like, what is that? So, when we love people, if I'm constantly got a problem with who you are and I'm just displaying to you, I love you, something's up with my love. I have to go back and begin to check what's wrong with me, and I'm questioning the things that's going on with you. Because what's going on with you is with you, and it don't have nothing to do with me. And anytime it's stirring up stuff in me, something's up with me too. And God's using whatever's going on with you to stir up something in me so he can address what's going on with me. Because I could be, there's certain people I could be around, nothing they do bother me. And it might bother other people, but it don't bother me because that don't bother me. And there's other people I could be around, and everything they do bother me. And then I have to go back to me and say, God, what's going on? Why am I bothered by that person? And so it got to be without guile, without bitterness. Abhor that which is evil. You're supposed to abhor and stay away from that which is evil. Avoid. Stay away from things that are evil. You're not walking right into evil so much you hate evil. If we love God, then we hate evil. Because God is not, he's not evil, he's good. And he's not for evil. And it's not to say you're not going to encounter it, but you're not going to walk into it either. If I'm fighting the spirit of fear all the time, I know how to sit down and watch horror movies. Why would I entertain when I'm fighting all the time? And a lot of times, won't necessarily think about that, but that's what we do sometimes. We entertain the very thing we fight. If I'm fighting lust, I'm not going to sit down and watch movies full of lust. Girl, I love these little black romance movies. And they just doing all this crazy stuff in the movie, and then later on at night, you fighting with the spirit of lust. Well, it's all in the movie. Either, you got to shut it down until you get stronger. And then you find movies that might have some of the elements, but not the scenes. Like the Hallmark movies. Hallmark movies got all the love, but no sex. So some of the movies, they, the mature audience, it's like, oh!
Wait a minute.
What the? I didn't know that was in there. So and sometimes it might be a good storyline, but you gotta skip through the scenes. So you would skip through the scenes. It was like, sometimes I'm like, no, I'm good. Because if this way we starting, some movies start the movie, all right, yeah, I love all these people in here. Whoa! Forget it. Let me find something. You know what? Let me just go to, something else. It's like that sometimes. Depending on where you at and what you're going through at that time, what you can endure, concerning whatever. Books, movies, apps, what games, whatever. Whatever you're doing. Company, whatever. It says, cleave to that which is good. Cleave to that which is good. Be kindly affectionate one to another with brotherly love. Brotherly love. Brother and sister love. No other kind of love. Not feeling ill. You gotta come sit with you. No. Brotherly love. Everybody my brother. Everybody my uncle. Everybody's like my father. Until God sent and my sister and my aunt and my mother. In this case. All of you. So why? Because it helps to keep your mind pure. It keeps your mind pure so that Satan can't take a piece away from you of everybody you think wrong about, and then that right person come and you gotta go back and retract all those things. You keep your mind pure the whole time. When that person come, your mind was steadfast on God the whole time, and it never left him to lust behind people. Yeah, they looking good, And it's why it's kind of why we keep up even with the things we watch. Until you get to a point, sometimes you get to a point that stuff don't move you. Everything is different for different people. Some people, you can see somebody come in and they've been working out with them, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, you look just like my brother. I got 10 brothers that work out, that don't move me. And you got some women, it's like, oh. Did you see his chest? It's like, so it just depends on, and God knows, so you might go watch that movie and that don't even move you because you might have seen it all your life. You had brothers working out growing up, and so it don't really mean that to you. But for the woman who had all sisters, it might be different. So, cleave to that which is good. And that's in everything you do. You pretty much just let God govern everything you're doing, and that keeps you out of trouble. Be kindly affectionate one to another with brotherly love and honor, preferring one another. You can prefer your brother or your sister in Christ first. And anytime you're making a choice where you have to choose and decide, and God will show you, you're going to choose who God said, because he'll show you the right person to choose. And a lot of times it's going to be the people for him. It might not be the person you love. It might be the person for him. Or it might be a person that he's trying to get to. Not slothful in business, fervent in spirit. And a lot of times if we're slothful in business, it dishonors God. And people look at us as Christians and we're slothful in the things that pertain to helping other people. And if we're slothful, I mean we drop the ball somewhere, and then people look at God and they say, yeah, Christian, that's an attack against God. So God expects us to be diligent in business so that it doesn't make him look bad, especially since we've been telling him, I'm a Christian the whole time. We got our big Christian shirt on, with Christian on our forehead, we've just been letting them know we're a Christian, and now we done dropped the ball somewhere. And now they're going to blame God. They're disappointed because they're disappointed, because they're hurt now. And they're looking at you like, I thought you was a Christian. People hold us to a higher standard. Rather than being bothered by it, we got to exceed their expectations. And you know what? That's not always easy. But when God sees us doing that, he honors us and he makes a way for us and sometimes for them too. That they might see God moving on our behalf and on their behalf, and they might see and recognize that he is real. Fervent in the spirit. Fervent in the spirit means to be passionate and be diligent in the spirit. To be earnest and be true about it. That you're truly seeking him. And not only seeking him, you're pursuing him and you're with him. If you're pursuing God, that means not only do you believe that you're with him and you're after him, you catch him. God is not somebody you constantly chasing and you never catch. He's not a fan. He's not. When you're pursuing after God, he's right there. When you're pursuing after, I remember for years, when I think about it, when I was pursuing, I think I just was pursuing levels, so to speak. Even though a pastor would say, hey, no, I don't want to hear that. Like, my pastors would always shut down that whole level thing. But when I look back, I was pursuing to be at a certain place in him. But I think it was just in me just to pursue after him, to be going after him. But I was hungry for something specific. And I can recall many times being disappointed because what I was chasing, I felt like I wasn't catching. Now, when I look back as I've grown, I think it was a lot of things in my head that I was mixed up about. So being fervent in the spirit is being satisfied every day where you are with him, knowing we have another day and that this is a journey. This is not a sprint. And I think a lot of times I was treating my walk like a sprint. And I think that's why I get to the sprint like, where you at? Where's you? And I'm looking for this. I'm looking for something that I shouldn't be looking for because it wasn't time. The one thing I began to learn as I was growing in God, and he did begin to give me big revelation, is that some of what I was chasing I wasn't ready for it. The Bible says with much wisdom comes grief. A lot of times you can know too much and it can bring you down and grieve you to death. Because it's just not time to know it. It's too much for you to bear. Your heart can't take it right now. Knowing it will hurt you. It's a lot of times, seriously. And you in that deeper place now. Like you know everything you want to know. But then your heart is grieved because you rather not know. Like now I know why he's been waiting for. You get 2 years up the road and you learn after 2 years of maturing and growing and him strengthening your heart and getting you ready and putting your mind in a different place. And then he give it to you like, oh, yeah, if I had got this 2 years ago, I think I was just straight brain.
He knows what he's doing. That's
right.
What happened to me. I was chasing it and wanting to hear his word for so long. And I told you recently, and I heard it. And I didn't catch what he heard, but I just heard his voice. It was just so peaceful and quiet and warming. But it scared me because I was like, wait a minute, like, what is this? But I realized now, like, he wanted me to hear, like, he made me wait, so I get it. I wasn't ready then. I wasn't ready.
Right.
So that was true.
But you
That was true.
heard, yeah.
Yes, and I mean, his voice, I never heard like a loving, calm voice in my life. It was just so relaxing. Just, I was in love. I was in love. Like, my heart dropped.
Yes.
It was just so amazing. So amazing.
Yeah.
So I knew it was him. I knew it.
Yeah, it's something. It's something. I was on the road yesterday, and he was talking to me. I'm like, I think I was putting on worship. Like, I'm a worshiper, so he had me putting on different worship that I could do at different times, and he was going, he was like kind of taking me back to different things that was going on in the worship, the spirit of worship at that time. And I'm just like, oh my God, and so it's something. It's just some things that's just, it's deeper than what can be explained. You gotta experience it to know, oh, okay. Some things are just in the spirit. And until you get there is more experienced and felt than it is explained and talked about. You know what I'm saying? So just like the whole hearing his voice. Because I hear his voice, I know exactly what you're saying when you say that. But I also know, it's, like, oh yeah, because eventually you get past the fear and that's all you look for. Yes. And when he knows that's all you look for and that's all you want to hear, and like, I'm living all day long just to hear your voice. This time I'm like, I love you. You like, I'm waiting all day to hear you say it. I'm like, all right now. Are you serious? You have? Yes. I gotta be more diligent with making sure I say I love you. It's like, it's an experience. It's something. It's exciting. And it's like every day is new. Yes. And so is his mercies. It's like, oh my God, like, you're not getting this. We want to, and God wants us to live a life that everybody can experience that. No matter what they're going through, that God can be so strong in their life that if you're missing everything else, don't miss this. Don't miss this. Get this.
Yes.
So, rejoicing in hope, patient in tribulation, patient when you're going through trials. And that can be hard sometimes when you're in the middle of this big trial and you don't know what it's going through, unless you're walking with him. When you walk with God, he's ministering to you every day. And when he's ministering to you, it helps you to slow down and enjoy him in the middle of fire. Like the 3 Hebrew boys. They was in that fire with God. And they went in with a mind to die and to be with their Lord and King. And that's all they was thinking about. But when they got in there, he was waiting. And the fire changed to a temperament that was with him. And because they was in the spirit with him, it didn't burn them. It did not burn them. And a lot of times when we walk with God and we trust him, that's how we're able to become patient in that tribulation. And no matter what hell we're going through, everything's falling apart, and I don't know how I'm going to get through this, but I'm with him. And because I'm with him, that's all that matters. And when you live like that, please, he up the road, they done fixed everything. You just got to get to the next block. That's pretty much how your life is. You get to the next portion, the next week, the next 2 weeks, whatever it is, and it's like, what did he fix? I mean, and it's better than before. God, you did this. And when you look back on your last month or week or however long it was, you can rejoice in the fact, it said rejoicing in hope, that while you was hoping in him, you was loving him the whole time, not despising him. I wasn't despising you, God, and not trusting you. I was in love the whole time. And it makes your testimony greater because everybody's watching you. When you're in the middle of tribulation, please, all eyes on me, like Tupac said, please. Everybody's watching. Because I want to see how you go through it. But when you go through with God, it's a testimony that he'll keep him too. And people want to be kept. I don't care what they say out of their mouth. They want to be kept and they want to be at peace. Okay, last one because it's 8 o'clock. Continuing instant in prayer. And we're going to stop there. Continuing instant in prayer. And it means steady. That no matter what's going on, that you're always staying in prayer. That you're always in prayer because that's where our relationship with him is. It's in prayer. And prayer is where you grow, and prayer is where your relationship is with him, and prayer is where his spirit is waiting for you.
I talk to him a lot. I just be like, God, just show me the way today, because you know these people gonna drive me crazy and they be looking at Kelly crazy. No, I'm not crazy, but just give me my moment. Give me a second. Just let me talk, just, and I just say it out loud.
Yep.
I don't care where I'm at. I could be at work online, and I just say, God, please, you hear me.
Yes.
Me, you is here.
Yep. And people will
That's
just
how I do
look
that
at
on
you.
myself.
Yeah,
I'm so
they'll
used
look
to
at
that.
you and they'll keep going, child. Get out.
It don't bother me. I'm just,
You know, but he's answering. He calmed everything down. All the crazy stuff they thought they was gonna do, he shuts it down. You look up, you get through your day. You at the end of the day like, oh, thank you, Lord. You know, because he moved. So it's a powerful thing. Anybody have any questions, comments, concerns? Well, questions and comments. Think about it.
I will be here Sunday. Also, I just want to give you an update on Kyrie and the kids Saturday. So we're going to go downtown and give out the little sandwiches and stuff this Saturday around 12 o'clock. So I'll show you the pictures Sunday.
All right.
I wanted to do like a little, make some pictures, take the pictures and do like a poster or something, but that's out of my element. So Pastor, if I give you the pictures, would you be kind enough to do like a little page or something?
Yes, I would.
Yes. Oh, thank you. Because I know you're into that stuff, and I just wanted to save it for her. That way she can have a collage and
Some
something.
she go, yeah.
So she's excited. So we're gonna do like the chips, waters, and the ham and cheese sandwiches.
She
That
already
she's
got
gonna make.
You already got a heart and mind to
Yes.
feed people in need. That's powerful. Why
Thinking
she's so
about it.
young. That's a powerful thing. All right. Anything else? All right. We're gonna pray. I'm gonna thank God for your patience. I'm glad y'all was able to fellowship. We had a little discrepancy, and then I had to go back and pick her up, and then while I'm looking into the